Hello and welcome back. So we want to fix this error, this issue of PHP not running. So this is quite a complex issue. So let's do it. Yeah. So if we go to our admin page here, this is in the courses function, and we are on action edit. And when we come here, we are using file get contents. Now the reason we use file get contents instead of include would have solved this problem, because once we include the file, then every PHP in there is evaluated as it comes in. But the problem is including a file just brings the code and dumps it here. But we want to grab the code and put it inside a variable. That way we can put it inside an array and then use JSON to encode it. The only problem with file get contents is it will read the file just as a text file, right? And then it will just grab it as a text file and then bring it in. It doesn't know that there's PHP in there, and so it won't run any PHP. Now there's a loophole we can use to avoid this issue. So the thing to do here is, when doing file get contents, okay, views path, so what we need to do is use the local the server to grab this document. Now what I mean is this: if you remember correctly, if I remove localhost here and just grab this file, let me show you what I'm talking about. If I go to, let's say, course landing page view, this page right here, let me just open containing folder, right? Okay, so this page is right here, and if I grab this page and go to my browser, I can run this page directly in my browser. So all I need to do is drag and drop it like this. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have the same problem that we have when we use file get contents, because as you can see, PHP is not running. It's just showing as HTML. Everything is showing as HTML here and not PHP, even though this is a PHP file and I've opened it in my browser. Now the reason is that I'm not running this through Apache at all. I'm just using the normal file reader for the browser here. This is what the problem is. But if I replace inside here htdocs, right, from htdocs here backward, I replace that with localhost, because localhost is my local server, which is Apache. So the moment I do that, I now run this through PHP. And as you can see here, it's telling me that warning, you see there's errors here, there's PHP errors going on, which means now we have PHP running just because we added localhost at the beginning there. This means we are running the page through a server. So this is important to remember. So in the same way, right here, if I include my file by running it through Apache, it's going to work the same way. So if here I concatenate the root path, because remember the root path has HTTP in there, because that's important. You need HTTP/localhost or whatever the your host name is, even though it may be an online website, it will work the same way. So I'm just going to concatenate root and then add a slash at the end, like so, just to make sure that there's root and then there's the path, and then we do file get contents. So we're getting the contents using the server in this case. So in the same way, we're going to receive something that looks like this with PHP running, because we're using the server in the path itself. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. So as you can see now, we have something new. You see there's warnings here, attempt to read property, blah, 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 blah. So the issue is that now PHP is running through this page, because now we've used localhost in the link, right? So we've used localhost, and now So this localhost will be replaced by www. whatever your website is when you send it to an online server, but it will do exactly the same thing. So in this case here, we have PHP, but it's complaining that it doesn't know any of these variables. Now, the reason is that we're trying to run the page in exactly the same way as we are doing here, directly, like localhost, and then we navigate to the actual PHP file. But this should be prohibited. We shouldn't be able to run a file like this. Now, to avoid this issue, we can go to any page that we create. If you don't want pages to be accessible directly in your, because it's very possible that somebody can go to your website like this, and if they know exactly where that file lives, they can grab it. But the advantage is that this one is in the app directory, right? So it will be difficult to access when you're online. So I guess this is not a real big deal to worry about. But if you're the type to be worried about such a thing, you can put some PHP code to stop files being accessed directly without them going through the controller and etc, right? So you can do this and say if defined, you can use the word defined, which checks if a value is defined. In this case, I want to see if root is defined. Now, if not defined like this, then we're going to do something. So if root not defined, we're just going to echo something and say direct script access denied. So you can write any message there that you want. So you can grab this code and put it anywhere in any of your files that you don't want direct access to, except controllers, of course. So if I now refresh, there's direct script access denied because root is not defined. However, this just echoing this is not enough. We need to kill the script. So what we can do is put this in brackets, and instead of echo, we'll put die with a message, okay, like that. So if I now refresh, you see that it says direct script access denied. It's the same thing here. It will deny direct script access, like so. Okay, so you can put this on all your classes, on all your class files, on all your models, and etc, so that they are not accessible directly to confuse the website. Okay, so we don't need this, but we may need it in future. So I'm just going to cut it from here, and I'm going to take it to my model. Let's try the auth model and just put it right there. Now we don't need our PHP tags because they're already here, and we don't need to close those tags. We can just do that. So here you can put this because if a file is accessed through the controller, definitely you're going to have root there. Actually, you should put this even in controllers as well, because see this file home.php. If I open the containing folder and then I drag and drop it in my browser, let's go here to the browser and let me copy, where is this, controllers, and I grab home.php and just drop it in my browser like this. You see it actually does something. It shows me something like that, even though that's not good. So you can access these files directly like this. Though, like I said, on an online server, it will be difficult because they're in the app folder, which is above the public folder. This is why we put folders. We don't put our controllers in the public folder to avoid such things. But in a case like this, and you want to avoid this, you'd obviously just grab this code and put it right under there like so. That way, whenever someone tries to access it, it will not work. Oh, in this case, the reason why it's not, let me undo that. It's because we're not using the server anyway. So let's try localhost. In your case, the website, the server is always on because you're accessing it through www, so the server is always going to react. So this is what we are going to find. This is the error we'll get if we try to access home.php to say controller, class controller not found, and it will complain about other things as well. But if we add this code like this, and then we're just going to say script access, direct script access denied. So you can put this on all of your controllers, all of your models, everything except the index, because everything must go through the index page. If it doesn't, you can put this code to stop it from happening. The root thing is declared in the config, right? This is where we defined root. So any file that comes after config can check to make sure that root is set before it allows access. So in this case, even though I've done this, I can still load the home page without a problem. If I click home here, it will load just fine because root is defined in that case. If, for example, I do the opposite here, I'm going to have issues when trying to load my original script there, right? Even though it's loaded in a legit way. Okay, so back to this issue here. How do we solve this problem now? So it seems like if we try to access this, even though it's through PHP, we're going to have problems because, for example, row is not set, right? It doesn't know what row is. If we try to use things like root, or we try to run classes here, it will not know what all this content is. So it means we need to run this through PHP, but we still need it to run through the index page, okay? So how do we do that? Now to do this, we'll simply grab the home.php and then copy that, all of this here, and then right click, create a new controller. We're going to call this controller Ajax, like that, okay? Ajax. So we'll save it as ajax.php. Now this is the controller we're going to use when we want to read Ajax data. Okay, so in this case we have index, which is the base. Now when we come back to admin, so you see here where we are supposed to do file get contents, right? So instead of running to the file directly here, what we will do is we'll run through the Ajax controller instead. So to do that is simple. As you know, if we want to run through the home controller, we just put it in the link. We just say Udemy public/home, and then we'll go to the home controller. So in this case, we've created an Ajax controller. It means now when we do /Ajax, we're going to go through the Ajax controller. Okay. Now the Ajax controller will contain everything we need, from the database connection, the root, everything will be there, which is a good thing, right? So let's look here and see what we can do. So let's look at course landing page here, right? This file that we want to access through ajax.php requires a row from the currently selected course. Okay, so we need to be able to have this row and then include that in the document, right? Okay, so and what else do we need? We also need these things here like levels, blah blah blah, all these things. Cool beans. So what we'll do is this. Everything you see here will be required in the Ajax section. So what I want to do is use functions the same way we're using functions here. In this case, I want to create a function that will mimic this course. There's course edit tabs, yeah. There's this one, course landing page. Okay, so you can name these things as you wish. So let's try and do this instead. So we have the public index there, but what I want us to do is duplicate this. Oops, what have I done? Ctrl+Shift+D. Let's create another one. So I just want to show you simply how this can be done through here. So here I'm just going to say course_edit. So I've created a function called course edit in here because I want it to go this way, this function, when I'm editing my course. Okay, Here, I don't want it to return anything, so I'm just going to remove that for now. When there's nothing selected, I'll leave it be. But here in this case, now I can load a particular view, which is right in here. So you see the views here, and let's go views, and then there's course edit tabs, and then this one. So that view can be loaded through here. So let me grab, come back to, where is this, admin. So exactly what I did here with views path, I can now just copy this and come to ajax.php and paste it there. So it would do the same thing, right? So if I just try to access ajax/course edit, it's going to come to this part, and then it's going to load this. Then I can get it. So we won't solve any problem here just yet, but at least you will see that it can still load this page. Even with these errors though, the errors will be there, but at least we'll be loading it through the Ajax file here. So let me show you that. So instead of saying file get contents and putting root and all that, all I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to say, oh yeah, I do need root still. And then I'm going to say /Ajax and then /course_ edit, like that. So I'm using the underscore because functions can't use hyphen. That's why I use the underscore. So the moment we access this, it's going to take us to here, and this will load our file. But the advantage of doing it like this is because we are loading it through HTTP. Okay, through the server, that is. All right, so once I do this, let's see what result I get. So if I now refresh, you see I get exactly the same thing here. The only problem is I'm still getting these errors because row is unknown. But remember that we are getting row from this, right? So let me grab that. Let me come here again. I'll get this, come to, where is this? Ajax, and right in here, let me put that there so that at least I have row in my data, and I'll send it to that. Now, the only problem with this is I don't know what user ID is and what ID is. So I really don't need this version of it, so I can just put all of it in there like so. Maybe I may need to use it. Let me leave that be. So from here, okay, what's going on? I'm going to need all these as well. Categories, all of that. I'll copy this and put it in my Ajax as well. I'll do that, paste. But it also needs to know what these things are as well. So back here, I need to define these guys, and I did define them right here. So I'll copy that, come back to the Ajax, and put those guys right here, like so, so that we have everything well defined. Okay, now these guys need to go into the data because they're going to be used in the view file. So I'm going to put data like that and convert them to arrays like this. Okay, great. So we've defined all that. We've defined user ID as well, but we don't have ID. So I want us to collect ID from here like that and say is equal to no, just in case it's not there. But in order for us to collect it from here, we have to send it through the link, right? So coming down here, right here where we have course edit, we need to save slash, and whatever we put there at the end is going to be received here as the ID. So since we already do have an ID here, which is this one, we're just going to concatenate it at the end so that we have slash that ID. Okay, pretty cool. And what else? This is probably it, and everything should work fine. So let's try and refresh the page now. And as you can see, okay, we still have problems here, we still have errors. So let's view what these errors really are. So I'm going to say inspect view page source so that we see the errors in better view. Oh, I forgot one thing. These errors are being sent via Ajax. So Yeah, they will not show here, unfortunately. So let's see here. It says attempt to read property. Okay, what I would do is this. This data is being received via Ajax, so we just have to read our Ajax to know what's going on. But for now, at least we are able to read the page. We're going to fix the problem in the next video. Let me see, maybe it's a quick thing here. Course is new course model, user ID, get user ID. Okay, so everything seems okay from this point on, but let's see what the problem is when we get to the next video.